After you import a package from the asset store, when you run the scene, the layers will not be red. Objects will be chaotically overlapping each other. To fix this problem, you need to replace the files in the Project Settings folder. I added those files to the Assets folder. You just need to place them to the Project Settings instead of the old ones in the Project folder. The package also has dependencies of 3 Unity assets: Universal RP, Cinemachine, 2D Pixel Perfect. Add them in the Package Manager window. Now, as you can see, everything works correctly. After creating a new scene, we need to set up the main camera. Select the background color. I'll take a dark purple, close to black. Drag your character onto the scene and create a virtual camera element. Drag the character from the scene to follow in the inspector. This way the camera will follow the character. In the camera, add the Pixel Perfect component. You can choose the pixel snapping so that the objects do not move. Also select the Pixel Perfect setting in the virtual camera. I'll set the camera distance to 7. In the body section, I set it to 0, so that the camera immediately follows the player. Next, create a tile map, name it Ground. The tiles are in the Sprites folder. The tiles are set as a prefab. You may need to drag them into the Tile Palette window. If you don't have a window, add it in the Windows tab. Be sure to select Ground and Ground. Take the main grass tile and fill it in the area we need. Next, apply places with thicker grass. There are also objects on several tiles, for example dirt, puddles, tall grass, and so on. To create ledges, create a new tile map and call it Cliff. Add several components to it: a rigid body, a tile mesh, and a composite collider. This way, the player will not be able to walk through the ledge. To prevent the ledge from being behind the grass, give it Order in Layer 1. Create a ledge, add a small path. Let's check how the cliff works. We can't go through it. We can go up the stairs. Everything works. Next, let's create roads. Go to the Sprites folder. Here are all the sprites placed by category. For example, there are trees with a stump for each. There are also bushes and stones. Click on the arrow in the Roads and Sprite. Let's place an area with the ground. But as we can see, the sprite disappears relative to the y-axis when it goes above 0. To do this, assign the Order in Layer sprite 2. You can add areas with grass. You can add areas with dirt. There are many variations of roads in the pack. You can put them together like puzzles and connect them to each other. Alternatively, you can make the road a tile, but I like the option with sprites more. Now let's create a forest. In the prefab folder, you can find ready-made objects and lay them out one by one on your landscape. There are also different barriers: fences, destructible boxes, buildings, etc. To save time, you can use ready-made groups of objects. With different forest options, small, medium, large, etc., there are a whole lake, a group of bushes, from light to dark, flowers, a cut-down forest, a ready-made cemetery, etc. You can simply change the position of objects in it or add your own. There is an imitation of a forest, which acts as an obstacle for the edge of the location. Here you can see its collider. There are interiors of buildings, a tavern, a wooden house, a ruined house, a mine, lots of objects, even a stone gate, a typical house, etc. Let me show you how to create a house so that it has an interior. Here is our house. You can walk around in it, go out, walk behind it. When passing through the bushes, they move. When standing behind a tree, it becomes transparent. First, I will sort the objects on the scene by category. Let's go to the sprites folder. There are a monastery, towers, ruins, interiors, houses. There are both ready-made and empty interiors, so that you can create your own ones. Now I will try to take a simple house, take an empty interior, and add different elements to it. I drag the sprite onto the scene, select the objects layer for it, give it layer 3, change center to pivot. Now our character can be in front of the house and behind the house. I create an empty object, red house. I will drag our sprite under it and call it facade. I'll add a collider and check the is triggered box. This collider will be responsible for the facade disappearing. I also add the fade buildings component here. There's a similar one for trees. Everything works, the house disappears. Now we put the interior sprite. Add a shadow, see which one suits best. I stretch it and change the alpha so that the shadow is not so strong. In the prefab folder, there is an interior folder. You can take objects from there, but there are more objects in the sprites folder. I add objects. I want to create a corner table. I'll take the table sprite, give it a layer and a collider. I add chairs in the same way. I'll check how it works. Now we see that there is no collider on the walls, so we create it. Now the character walks around the house, he can go into it. You can also add more objects. Finalize our scene. That's all. Thanks for watching.